have depth. So to answer this question, we're going to go through, well, what are each of these? So an angle is a ray and another ray that meet at the same, start at the same point. So that's not what this is. Even though they extend infinitely, it's not a flat surface. A circle is a circle. A segment is not a line. It's a fixed line. So it's a line that starts and stops at fixed places. When we say line, and when we say line, like in our lives, we actually mean line segment or segment. A line extends infinitely in each directions. But we often use the word line when we really mean segment in our real life. So having said all that, the answer here is a plane, okay? And the reason is it extends infinitely in all directions. So consider like a piece of paper. If you want to hold up a piece of paper, it extend and imagine extending infinitely in all these directions. It does not have depth, even though like the paper has a little thickness, you assume it actually doesn't have any. And that is the correct answer.
All right.
Right. So time for you to decide if you're going to drop something in the chat, if you're going to share screen again, what would be best to help you at this point?
I'm trying to figure out the snipping tool. I think I got it. I just don't know how to send it in the chat.
So try to just Control V or right click paste once you've done the snip. I'm also happy to, if you want to share your screen, kind of talk you through it if I can.
Yeah, I usually use like Google, the other one for like classes. It's like my first time on Zoom.
Okay. So let me put a message in the chat. Maybe that'll help. And then I'm just going to try the snipping thing again here. I'm just going to take a quick snip of our lesson. And can I paste it? Yes. Okay. So,
Oh,
so,
wait,
so you can literally just paste it in there.
there we go. You
There,
got it?
I got something. That's perfect. So I've got that in the chat, copy. And so what I do is now I paste it in and you can see it here.
All right, awesome.
All right. So unfortunately that got a little grainy. You might have to help here with this. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like that on the page too. I think that's like the only grainy problem.
All right. Are you kind of using a night mode or something on your browser?
Yeah.
You may want to try turning that off and see if you can get it to, it might enhance these things down here. All right, so how to do this problem. So parallel lines are labeled as either the following. It's either labeled like this AB, okay, for meaning like the 2 points on the line, or you can use a single lowercase letter, okay? Now parallel is this symbol here, the two vertical bars. Now, when you've got multiple choice, you want to eliminate answers to the best of your ability. So this other symbol, this means perpendicular, not parallel. That's definitely not the answer. And this down here, it looks like it's a single letter, uppercase letter. You can't use a single point to identify a line. And here's why. Okay, it's because if you give you a single point, there's an infinite number of lines that go through that point. So it looks like the correct answer is this for this first one here.
All right. I'll send the next one in.
Okay. So one of the things that does help me is to let me know when you've dropped it in the chat, because the Zoom doesn't notify me when it's
All right, I dropped it.
okay. I can see it there. Actually, you know what's interesting? It's interesting. So this is, well, it's for me. So I've got this other student that does the same thing, but you have to download the file first, and it already appeared on your side. All right. Okay, you'll find I talked to myself here. Which undefined terms are needed to define a line segment? Now, is this some sort of like pre-test or like for your class?
I'm not sure. I think it's just the assignments they send.
Okay. So which undefined terms are needed to define a line segment? So a line segment starts and stops at two different points. Okay, so it needs an endpoint for sure, or a point, and it also needs a segment. Okay, now what I can't remember here is, I actually don't remember the answer to this. So it's not a plane or a point, okay? Because a plane extends infinitely in all directions. That's not what
Yeah.
we're looking for. Now, what's unclear here is the line. Now, if you have just one endpoint, that's not enough. Now, if you have a point and a line, that's also not enough. Now, a segment and a point, that seems to be the right answer, because what that represents is, even though the segment means it's fixed on each side, which is what we're asking for, and a single point just means that you can identify that segment by just a single point.
All right. All right. Getting the next one up right now. All right. Just sent it.
The quality of these images is just fine now. I'm not sure why that first one was there. So is the image an example of perpendicular lines? So this box here, does mean perpendicular, means 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's not 90 degrees because they intersect, because I can draw something that intersects that's not 90 degrees. Okay. So the answer here is that it's either yes, because it is 90 degrees, but which one is it? So when you're doing multiple choice stuff, sometimes you want to eliminate some answers like you're doing here, and you just got to choose between them. It's it is 90 degrees, but why is it? Well, no, it's not because the lines intersect. It's because they intersect at a right angle.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna just step away for 30 seconds, but I will be right back.
All right. Take your time.
All right, I'm back. Got the next question up here. All right, so let's see what this one says here. It says, statement, if 2 points are given, then exactly one line can be drawn through those 2 points.
Oh wait, I think we're on question 5.
Oh, I see. You sent a bunch over, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't know. I was
Good.
just like,
That's
might as
that's
well.
good. No, I just the chat didn't notify me that 5 had come in. All right. Yeah, always let me know, because I sometimes just go off and you want to say, hey, we're gonna do them.
Yeah.
This. All right, so James defines a line segment as a portion of a line. His statement is not precise enough because you should specify that. And so this is one of those things where you probably have some notes in your class. Okay. And one of the things you want to learn how to do is use Control F to find or search for things, because there's something in there, like the right answer will likely be in, I know you can go out the internet to search these things, but if you go to your notes on this section one, whatever this is, 1-1, you will find what it is. So what the definition requires here is that this is a line. A line goes on forever in either direction. A segment is a portion of it, but you have to define that portion. And you define that portion with 2 endpoints. Like that.
All right. Yeah, there might be notes because it's like the second day I've been doing this, but they didn't really like specifically tell you where to go, but it's probably in here. I'll check it out.
I'm just suggesting that we may get to some problems where you need to know those things to answer it. The other thing is your tests and quizzes come right from these questions. The more you can do to know how to find the answers, the better your grade will be, because ultimately you're trying to pass the class.
Yeah.
Right? So it said 6 is the next one here. Let me copy that. Jump the first unread message. Whatever. All right, there we go. Here's 6. All right. Alyssa draws a ray in her notebook. What is the minimum number of points which the ray is drawn? So watch this. I'm going to draw a ray. And I want you to answer the question for me. How many points did I draw?
I would say 2, right?
1 and 2. That's it.
Yeah.
And that is probably a definition. I couldn't say for sure. All right, here's the next one here. All right, array is a defined term because so there's something your class really emphasizes, like defined versus undefined term. So like, for example, a plane is considered undefined because it extends infinitely in all directions.
Yeah.
Okay, has no depth. Um, I want to say the answer is, and I want you to look through these. Array starts at one point and goes in one direction for a long ways. Is there any one of these here that kind of reminds you of what I just said, or looks like what I just said there?
Probably the bottom one travels
Yes.
forever in one direction.
Yes. So I believe that is why it is, but this is one of those things where, like, as much as I know about geometry and math and all that stuff, this class is very specific with the language. It's more like an English class. It's more like when you get a science definition, and it's got to be that way. So I think it's this. I would probably choose that, but that's where I'm saying maybe you got to go check your notes or have them up on another screen and start, looking for some of these just to be sure.
All right.
All right, so let's look at number 8. And if you need some time to do that, we can pause here. You can do that, or you can try to while we're looking at it. All right. So if 2 points are given, then exactly one line can be drawn through those 2 points. So they're basically saying like this. Here are 2 points. Sorry, do that. Here's point 1. Here's point 2. It should say unique points, but it says there's exactly one line that can be drawn through it, and that's true. So the question is whether that's a defined term, postulate, or a theorem. And this is a pure definition. This is a pure, like, well, what's a postulate, what's a definition, and what's a theorem? And truthfully, like, I couldn't tell you exactly what the difference is, so I'm going to go out to the internet to look for that.
All right.
So a postulate is assumed true without proof, while a theorem is proved. Okay. And then a definition is like a statement of fact, I guess, or like a explanation of something. So like we kind of accept this to be true, but we're not proving that it's true, which means that it is a postulate. So postulate is when you assume true without proving.
All right.
So next one here in the chat, I think he sent over one more.
Yeah,
So just so you
there's
know,
like one
9
more
is
I need to send.
yeah, 9 is the last one I've got in the chat here. So if you want to start sending some more over for us to look at. All right, so let me draw a plane again. And I just want you to use your intuition, some of the words we've been talking about today, and tell me if there's any answers that you can eliminate, like meaning The ones you can eliminate are because they are a characteristic. Like, I want you to ask yourself, is a flat surface a characteristic of a plane sheet of paper?
Well, yeah, I would say.
Okay, so that one's out. All right.
Oh, wait, not a characteristic?
Well, so when you answer a not question, that means that 3 of the 4 are true.
Oh,
That means most of them here are true, which is why you're
oh,
looking for ones that.
not. Okay. I was
So
like
when I'm asking,
confused.
so the next thing you say here to ask yourself, does a plane have length and width?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's out.
Um, don't think it has two endpoints because
Okay,
it's
so
a
that's
piece of
probably
paper,
the
right?
answer.
And it is an undefined term, so
That's right. So it must be
two endpoints.
2 endpoints. And that's why you answer these questions, is you look and see what is, maybe which ones are true, so you can get rid of them, and then look for the ones or get it down to 2. So it is an undefined term. I believe a line, plane, and something else are undefined terms in your course. Let me actually look that up here. Point, a line, and a plane. These are all considered undefined. All right, I know you sent over another problem for us to look at. So let's take a look at that one. And figure out where my chat went. There it is. Right. Which term best describes the geometric figure? Why don't you try answering this one? Let me know what you think.
Uh, it's probably a point. I
It
mean,
is. Good.
yeah, it's kind of obvious, but
I try never to ask you questions you don't already know the answer to. I don't think that's fair.
yeah. All right, so that was the last one for this subject. So
Okay,
I'll submit it and then I'll go to the next one.
cool.
All right, I got a 80 out of 10, so it's not bad.
So here's what you got to be careful of. These are my best guesses, along with helping you try to work through it. I don't think we intentionally missed any of these. You should
Yeah.
look back and figure out which one is wrong and why, and we can even do that now, because you
All
will
right.
get these questions again. You will get them again on the quiz or the test. So if you can see which ones are wrong, you also may want to come up with a way to organize this, where you write down the yeah. So that one, number 3, we got wrong.
All
So
right.
that's
I
where you want to go back.
sent you the
So
two
what
that we got wrong.
does it give you the correct answer there for number 3? Point and line. So this is actually the one that is correct. What was the other one? 7. These might even be raised. It's a defined term. I thought it said undefined. It's defined. So that sometimes happens with me because it is described using an undefined term. Okay, so this is actually correct. All right, great. Well, you're
All
getting a
right.
feel for what the lesson style is like here. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and send over some more questions for us to look on, and
All right.
we'll get going on that.
All right. I sent the first one.
All right. Let me know. I mean, I looks like you're snipping a bunch in there. Let me know when they're all in or.
All right. You want me to get them all real quick?
No, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. How many are there total?
There's like 11 or no, 10.
Yeah, for sure you could do like 5. If you've done 5, we should get started.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. This is a pure like in your book, in your online thing, it'll say somewhere that this is how you copy a segment. So it used to be in geometry that doing constructions was a big deal because people that did drafting, designing, they had to make constructions. We don't do any of that now. We all do it in computers. And it's a reasonable question to ask, like, why am I even asked to do it? I don't have the answer to that. We can't solve that problem. But what you should know is that to answer this question, we have to look up from a source, like what is the first step here? So that's where the internet is your friend. That is where going back to your book is your friend. So I'm going to snip it in here. Um, one of the things I don't like is we're not doing a ton of interacting here with these problems because of the way geometry is. But I'd like you to look at this and see if you can tell me what the correct answer is.
Okay. Um, is it the first one?
Sorry, you can't hear me. To duplicate a line segment, first draw a what?
Array.
So which one has that in there?
Oh my gosh. Draw the second one.
So you've got to be able to kind of connect that information. I'm not saying this is for sure, right? But it probably is. This is just me going out and trying to figure out how to help you with this because you may find that you can answer a lot of these questions on your own, or you may just need help with finding out the ones that are more difficult. So it says when copying a segment and bisecting a segment. So there's all these like, I don't know if you've ever cooked or baked, but there's all these recipes. There's the cake recipe and the pie recipe and the bread recipe. And they're saying, hey, there's something that's the same about them. So when copying a segment and bisecting a segment, which step is the same? So let me show you how you copy a segment. I guess I should do that. And then bisecting a segment. Okay. So let me show you how to do this, and then you can decide maybe something will come out of that. So to copy a segment, let's just say you have this segment here and you want to copy it, right? You first go and they make you extend the rays, but what you want to do is arc the length of this. You want to get the length by swinging an arc. Do you know what I mean by the pointy end and then the like the pencil end?
Yeah.
Okay, so you swing an arc and you get the length of this segment. So then you come over here somewhere on another line and you just pick a point and you swing an arc and you get that other point. Okay, so that's how you copy a segment. To bisect a segment, you start at the end point and you just swing an arc that's a little bit bigger than halfway, go to the other side and swing an arc a little bit bigger than halfway. And then the line that's drawn is that goes through them bisects the segment.
All
So
right.
hopefully you see that these are now congruent. Take a look at this list. I'm going to help here, but take a look and just see if anything stands out to you. And you can always just eliminate answers and say, well, Matthew, I think it's down to like these two, or it's not, I have no idea. Take a look.
Well, we were talking about arcs and there's two sides, so I'm thinking it's just the bottom one, right?
So which steps is the same? Create an arc on either side of segment. So that could be it. It's definitely not draw array with one endpoint because that's only done on this one over here.
Yeah.
So I think what they mean by that, I guess the way they do it is I think they copy it on the same line. But we know it's not that one. Open the compass larger than half the length of the segment. So we do that over here on the right to bisect it, but we don't do that over here. So that one is out. Place the compass on the endpoint of the segment. See, I'm really drawn to that one because that's what we did in both cases. We placed the compass on the endpoint of the segment for sure. Now create an arc. This is your answer on either side of the segment. So I feel like I guess it could be, yeah. Ugh, that's where this gets tough. I'm sort of indifferent between them. So you're gonna have to decide which one you think is right.
Ah, why is it up to me?
Well, I'm only the learning guide here. So go with your
Yeah.
go with your gut. That's always a good way to make a decision, really. They even teach that in leadership.
All
All right.
right.
The only way to get the answer for sure is to go to your textbook online thing and look up the two steps and see which ones are the same. All right, let's take a look here. Which two segments are congruent? Why don't you try answering this on your own and let me know what you come up with.
All right. Well, I'm looking at AB and FE, and
Why? Why are they congruent? What's telling you that they're congruent?
well, they're not going the same way, but they're like the same length. But that could be one of the answers. I'm not saying it
I agree.
is, but
No,
oh,
that is sufficient. Yeah.
oh, all
A,
right.
B, and EF, yes. So your intuition will will do well for you in this course. The thing that is frustrating about geometry is there is a difference though between congruent and equal, which you might not think there is, but there is. So you gotta be really careful about like it's so specific. I don't know if you have if you're that way or if you're around people that are like they really lock in on the words you use. If you're just one thing off, they correct you.
Oh
That's kind
yeah.
of what this course is like. So if you're not a specific guy or you're not right on point, you may get frustrated with this course.
Hmm.
All right, so Eric is bisecting a segment with technology. Okay. I'm laughing because when you go to a tool today and you bisect something, you just cut it in half and you don't draw a circle here. Um, I don't know. This is weird. Draw a circle with a center, which the following describes as the next step. So he's bisecting segment AB. All right. Now, sometimes what happens here, you ever like walked into a movie in the middle of it and you have no idea, you've never seen it before, and it takes you a while to figure out what's going on.
Oh yeah.
So that's what's happening here is you've walked right into the middle of a construction and you don't really know what's going on. And I have to sort of play out what has happened. Okay. So here's what's happened. The the line segment is AB. Imagine you just have AB. The person then went to B and put the sharp end of the whatever and swung an arc. Now they should have only swung this much of an arc, but they decided to swing the whole circle. Okay. Now they
Yeah.
shouldn't have done that because here's what they're going to do next. They're going to go to A without changing it, and they're going to swing the same arc.
All right.
So which of these says that?
Hmm.
That they're going to go back to A now and draw a circle.
Would it be the third one?
Yes.
Nice.
Right. All right. Michelle is performing the following construction. Based on the markings that are present, what construction is she or performing? Okay. This is one of those things where I think if you look at the answers can in some ways tell you what it is. So notice that the first and the third say angle. An angle is connected with it has the one vertex. The two rays are connected. Does this in any way look like an angle to you?
Um, no, not really.
Not really. So those are probably not right. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you look at A to B and consider that to be a line segment?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what they're doing. They're either bisecting a line segment or they're copying a line segment. Now, in the previous problem, we were bisecting a line segment and we were drawing these circles. Is that what appears to be going on here?
Doesn't look like it.
Probably not. So again, you can probably say it's probably not that. Now, I think it is copying a line segment. What I think they've done, what they need to do next is they need to swing an arc like this from put the sharp end in A, use the pencil end at B, and then go to the sharp end at C and arc it at a new point, maybe D, and then it's been copied.
All right. Let me just get the next one up.
Right.
There we go. I think it just sent.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Drop it from there. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. Or you can probably drop the rest in the chat. That way we can
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna like do that real quick.
get through
Speed
most of
run.
it.
All right, I sent the rest. We can continue.
Okay. All right. So it says Max is bisecting a segment. So he's got a segment. And first he places the compass on one end and opens it to a width larger than half the segment. So he puts the sharp end at, I'm sorry, the sharp end at A and swings something like that. Can you visualize that?
Yeah.
Then he swings an arc on the other side. So he goes and puts the sharp end at B and swings yet another one of these. What is his next step? Okay, so here is one endpoint. Then he swings an arc on the other side of this segment. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I misspoke here. I read this thing. So he starts at A and he swings a little arc up here and he swings a little arc here. So I've sort of given away what he does next. He does go to point B. No, sorry. I'm looking at these answers here.
No, you're fine.
What is next? To draw a point that is not on the segment. Keep the compass the same width. Okay. Yeah. So he keeps the compass on the same width and goes to the other endpoint B and then swings the arc above and swings the arc below. That is his next step. And then he grabs a ruler and he connects the tips.
All right.
All right, angle ABC has point E on ray BA and point D on ray BC. So I know it probably at first glance, it's like, well, how do I even know what to draw here? Or how do I do this? So, experience helps, but we know that angle ABC is something like this. A to B to C, and that's an angle. Has point E on ray BA. To point E is somewhere over here. So there's an E somewhere over here. We don't know where yet. We're gonna do that in a moment. And point D on ray BC. So on BC, there's a point D somewhere over here. Points E and D are equidistant. Equidistant means the same distance. So if E is here, B is roughly there because there's an arc that you can swing that goes right between them. All right, so to bisect the angle ABC, which of the following needs to be identified for the construction? So to bisect an angle, you have to figure out, you basically swing this arc right here, and then you go to E and D and you swing two other arcs, and then you connect that point there to get the angles the same. Now that's not to scale, but that's what it is. So we don't actually know the distance between point E and D. We actually don't know that, and we never will. The point in the angle that is equidistant from points E and D. So this point right here in the angle is equidistant from E and D. Let me label that E. Okay, so that appears to be correct. The endpoints of rays BA and BC, you don't need that for it. You already know that. Point outside of the angle that is equidistant from points E and D. So you don't want something outside. You want something that's inside
Yeah.
the angle. So when it says in the angle, so I'm going to suggest that's probably the correct answer there. All right. Any questions on that?
No, I'm catching along.
Okay. All right. There we go. What is the correct order of the steps for bisecting segment A? E? Okay. So here's A to B. We want to bisect it. Right. Now, notice the answers. It's either C is first or D is first. So we go right to C and B and see which one is right. Place the compass on point A and open it wider than half the distance of the segment. Okay, so that is actually the right first step. Place the compass on point A and open it wider than half the distance of the segment. That's where you put the sharp end in there and you swing that arc there. So we know that B is the correct first answer. So now we're down to it's either DE, BE, DEB, or DEA. Okay, so E says to swing an arc above and below the segment. We just did that. So we're choosing now between B and A. So do we draw a line from point C to point D? Or do we keep the compass the same width and go to point B and then swing the arc? Which do you think here?
I'm thinking B.
It is B. So we're looking at that one there. So that's how I know these look really overwhelming at first, but there is a way to do it where if you just focus in on what's different, what's the same. That's taking strategy I teach for SAT prep will help here. All right, does the construction demonstrate how to copy a segment correctly by hand? So your first thing needs to be is this a yes or a no? Because that gets you down to two answers. What do you say?
Um, I would say yeah.
So that means these two are out. Now I'm going to tell you this so that you can answer the question. You never use a ruler to copy anything. You never ever use a ruler. You only use a ruler to connect points.
All right.
So is it A or is it B?
Um, would it be A?
It is A. All right, last one here. We got like 1 minute left, so we'll see if we can do this. Does the construction demonstrate how to bisect an angle correctly using technology? Let's go with yes. And why don't you just see here? So circles D and E have the same radius. So here is circle D. Right? And then here is circle E. Do those have the same radius? Roughly.
Almost.
I'd say pretty
'Cause-
close. My
yeah.
drawing's not very good. Now, the next possible option here is that points C and B are equidistant from A. There's A to B and there's A to C. Do those look equidistant to you? Same length.
No, the C looks like a little bit farther out.
I would agree. All right, so we're going to go ahead and stop there for today.